Today is October 12th, and the reason this is significant is because today marks the 4th year anniversary of the launch of Black Ops 4. Now for this video, we're just focusing on Black Ops 4 Zombies, so I guess the 4-year anniversary of Black Ops 4 Zombies. And you know what, it's been 4 years, and since it is its anniversary, I thought it'd be interesting just to kind of look back at that game and kind of figure out exactly what I think about this game after 4 years of it being out. Was it as bad as I remember it, or were there some good things there that I didn't appreciate while we had them? And you know what, I encourage you guys to also do the same. Head down to the comment section and tell me what your thoughts are on Black Ops 4 4 years after its release. And you know, since you're down there, you might as well hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. But now it's time to look back at Black Ops 4 Zombies. So I'm actually going to break this up into two different parts, the good and then the bad. And we're going to start off with the good because I want to reminisce a little bit, you know, not be too toxic right off the bat, just think about the good things about this game. And I don't think there's a better place to start than the thing that I liked most about it, and what that was the hype and excitement going into it. And I know it's weird to say that, but really it was so freaking exciting. I remember that reveal event and everything they talked about for Zombies. Some of it never actually came true, but I do remember one thing that was so freaking cool. After Jason Blundell revealed the 2 Chaos maps, he starts to walk off stage and we're thinking like, wait a minute, did Ether actually end in Black Ops 3? But then he says he forgot something and drops one of the coldest teasers that we've ever got in Zombies. And honestly, after seeing this, I was through the roof excited. Like, I could not wait to play this. And really, it didn't end there. There was even more smaller reveals as time went on before the game came out, especially in E3, where they revealed there was going to be another map on launch, of course, being classified. Like, it was just so cool, and you just had to be there to understand how cool that really was. Now, of course, there were some good things about the game when it actually came out. First thing I want to mention is just the amount of content. Like, 4 maps on launch is insane. And I know some people will look back at this and say, oh, that wasn't a good thing in retrospect. But honestly, no. I feel like the reasons why the game didn't succeed as much as it should have had nothing to do with the amount of content. And we'll get into the problems with it in a bit. But overall, I feel like if you ask most people today if they'd want to see another Zombies game launch with 4 Zombies maps on launch, like, most people would say yes, because why would we say no to more content? But kind of keeping on that same vein, talking about the maps, one thing that I really wish that I didn't take for granted back then, which I didn't think I would be saying, is the locations of the maps. Like, oh my gosh, they were so cool. Like, we had an Egypt map, we had a Titanic map, even obviously the 2 remakes. Sure, they were remakes, but they still had cool locations of Alcatraz, the Pentagon, and even the first 2 DLCs, with being some ancient place in Greece, and my personal favorite, the Spooky Mansion. Like, all of that was so freaking cool. Sure, later on with the last 2 maps, it wasn't as great, but for that first 6 maps, it was really cool, and the locations were insane. And one thing that complemented the locations of these maps and just the overall vibe of them was the music. And again, this is one of those things that I thought would always be there for Zombies, but as we know with Cold War, it wasn't. And oh my gosh, the music in Black Ops 4 was just next level. Like, all the music with Ancient Evil having this whole Greek feel to it, with kind of a chant to it, but not really, where of course 9 had more of a chanting to it because it was supposed to be at a Coliseum or something like that. And then there's the godly music that we got during Blood of the Dead, and another underrated soundtrack is the music we got in Dead of the Night. Like, so much good stuff there that really made these maps feel even better. Now, I couldn't make this video without talking about something that I just thought was next level with this game, and what that is is the story of Blood of the Dead. Like, sure, the Ether storyline may have did some things later throughout the season, but the story in Blood of the Dead was just next level. I mean, the whole thing of our characters being trapped in this pocket dimension, reliving these same tragedies over and over again until Richtofen finally realizes what he has to do, and he sacrifices himself a little bit unwillingly, but sacrifices himself nonetheless, not only to save his friends, but also to break the cycle. Like, it just doesn't get better than that. But I think if I had to just wrap up the good portion of this video, I'd mention something that I thought was really underrated, and these were gauntlets. Like, I know a lot of the bigger zombie YouTubers like to clown on them and stuff like that, but to me, gauntlets were really cool for a lot of different reasons. Like, sure, they weren't very challenging for higher skilled players, but to me, I felt like they were challenging for newer players or people who were just not as good at zombies, and this was one way to challenge them to make them better. And also, it kind of worked as a little guide in figuring out new things about the map, because I remember some of the challenges were to build a pack punch. If you didn't know how to do that, it would kind of show you how, to tell you to build the shield and open the entire map and just explore the entire map. Like, stuff like that I think is a really cool idea of kind of getting newer zombies players better at zombies and more accustomed to zombies, and to me, that's why I liked gauntlets so much. Now, of course, when I look back at Black Ops 4 Zombies, I do not wear rose-tinted colored glasses, and I remember the problems with this game very, very vividly. And that's why we're going to start talking about the bad things about this game. And I'm going to be honest with you guys right away. How I feel about Black Ops 4 today is the exact same way I felt when it was out. And it has to do with these major problems with the game. And where better to start talking about these major problems than the launch of the game, because as I'm sure you all know, the game was kind of broke on launch. Now, I will admit, me personally, I didn't deal with crashing as often as most other people, but I did experience it here and there. And, you know, I could realize that that would be a really annoying thing, especially for a lot of people who were hunting for these Easter eggs. And to me, I think kind of the main problem with this is the fact that not only was it happening, but it wasn't fixed for like a very long time. The game was still crashing like for a month or two after its launch, and that is just completely unacceptable for a AAA game. Now, I know a lot of people like to point to this as the reason for Black Ops 4 not being as successful as it should have been, but to me, that wasn't the case. The main problem with this game, and the reason why it really didn't pop off like it should, definitely had to do with all the weird new mechanics. And there's a lot of them, but let me just quickly name off a couple of them that I thought were really bad. First was the perk system. Like, what are we doing here? Only 4 perks, getting rid of Jug and a lot of other iconic perks, and then like having all these perks, but again, we can only use 4. Like, what is the whole point of that? There's the point system that for some reason continued to exist into Cold War, but I despise it so much. There's a pack punch system, which kind of also exists in Cold War also, but not as bad, because like, why in this game am I repack punching a gun 5 times? Like, what are we doing here? Why are we doing this? And then of course there's the movement in this game. Like, the game's movement just felt super clunky. It never felt good playing it. It just really felt like a humongous step back from Black Ops 3. And sure, the main reason that I felt like this would be the case is because of the removal of the jump slide, but it really just felt clunky even besides that. It just didn't feel like it played good. The movement always felt off in this game. I could never exactly point out to be exactly what it was, but all I knew was a humongous step back for this game. And if I had to wrap up these mechanics with one last thing, I'd probably mention the addition of a bleed out timer for the last zombie, which initially when the game came out, it was only 5 minutes, but then they did buff it to 10 minutes, but it really wasn't enough at the end. And I just don't understand why they would do this, because this decision alone right here made the next problem with the game even bigger. And what that next problem was a lot of the Easter eggs in this game were overly complicated and took way too long to complete. Now, to give the game credit, Ancient Evil forward, the Easter eggs weren't nearly as bad, but all of the Easter eggs before that, like, what were we doing here? The scratches and zodiac symbols on Dead of the Night, all the dumb Morse code challenges and all the other weird challenges that we got during Blood of the Dead, the manure and raw step on 9, and the entirety of the Voyage Easter egg. Like, so many stupid and overly complicated things were done for these Easter eggs. And as I said, it was all made worse by the fact that there was a bleed out timer on the zombie. The zombie would straight bleed out while you're in the middle of a very complicated Easter egg step and just ruin absolutely everything. And to me, the combination of all these problems has to be one of the dumbest decisions that's ever been made in zombies. I just don't understand it. It just really sucked. But to kind of shift gears here a little bit, I do want to talk about the ether maps, because one of the major issues with this game was the fact that all of the ether maps, all 4 of them that came out on this game, were all remakes, which sucks, because this was the conclusion of this ether storyline, a storyline that I held really near and dear to my heart, and many other people also felt the same. And to see it end off on a bunch of remakes just kind of sucked, and I just didn't want that for the story, because I thought that they would do something crazy, and it seemed like they were planning to do something crazy with the end of this ether story, but unfortunately that just never happened, and it just ended on a remake of Nuketown and Call the Dead, which just sucks. And this all kind of ties into the final thing I want to talk about, and honestly the one thing that I just can't get over with this game. And what that is the problem of starting 2 stories in a single game. And not to gas myself up too much here, but I kind of did call this like very early on, before the game even launched. I said that this is probably going to be a bad thing for Chaos, and I was right about that. But one thing I overlooked was how bad of a thing it was going to be for the ether story, because not only did this ether storyline end on a bunch of remakes, but on top of that, it ended without tying up a lot of loose ends, and these loose ends shouldn't have been loose ends. They seemed like they were building up towards them. I mean, how many things can we think about that never really got an answer in the end, whether it be Monty, the Shadow Man, Primus Will Fail, or any of the other major things they set up that just never paid off. Even the Great War itself, Samantha talking about, like, so many things that were hinted at that just never happened. And it just sucked, because it seemed like they were going to do something great with the ending of the story, but instead it didn't. And we got an ending which sucked for the most part, but hey, at least it ended off with a banger of a song. And that brings us to the end of this video. And like I said at the start of the video, I'm still curious to hear what you guys think about Black Ops 4. Do you guys still feel the same way about it that you did back in the day, or has your opinion shifted over time? Let me know down there. Regardless though, that's going to wrap it up for me. If you guys did enjoy the video, then definitely do all that normal YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, bell, share, and all that great stuff. But I'm going to go catch you guys next stream, video, or whatever the heck it may be, and laters guys.